3 taps. That is what it takes to empty a life. And at 7:42 p.m., with diners leaning over plates and the air wet at 73 degrees Fahrenheit, my son raised his glass while a scheduled transfer blinked across his screen from my savings account. The same account that kept the mortgage paid and a light steady after storms. And he smiled at me like a priest with a secret as the ice machine clicked in the corner and the humiliation rippled through the room. At my city apartment that afternoon, I had wiped the kitchen counter with lemon cleaner. Slow circles. The radio low. The room cool, despite the humid air crawling in through the old sash. Daniel had stood by the sink, pretending to admire the view. "You should let us handle things now, Dad," he said. "Less math, more rest." He set a bright folder on the table, like a gift. The folder had weight. The way power has weight. In the drawer by the stove lay my old pager, matte and stubborn, a habit from audit days when a single tone meant trouble and a double tone meant act now. It still held a private number, a vestige from a credit union's after-hours fraud desk, and a 6-digit passphrase I never forgot. I touched it before leaving home, the plastic warms on my thumb. Leverage is rarely loud. It hums. Back at the restaurant, the room breathed steam and perfume. Daniel's wife leaned in, eyes glittering, her voice silk over steel. "Order the champagne, Danny. It's a celebration," she said. The waiter nodded, pen ready. I could smell rosemary from the roast and bleach from a freshly wiped table near the kitchen door. My son's phone, face down, glowed anyway, a small sunrise under his palm. Diners laughed. Forks chimed. The ice machine clicked again. "Sign these while we wait," Daniel whispered, sliding a thick document across the cloth. "Simple updates, just in case." He didn't say guardianship. He didn't need to. "We can help you keep track of everything." His thumb tapped his phone twice under the table, casual as breathing. "And I'll move funds so the interest doesn't get wasted." My hands stayed still. Numbers are never wasted. They only move toward the loudest voice. The bill for appetizers arrived at $62.80, and in the reflected glass I caught the ghost of Daniel's screen. An ACH poll staged for 2030, account ending 1442. $318,000, labeled consolidation. He lifted his glass higher. "To fresh starts," he said. The room applauded at another table, as if cued. Fresh starts require endings. He was counting on mine. I tasted the rosemary and something metallic. It felt like defeat, but that was only half the truth. When Marianne was alive, I kept our balances in ledgers you could smell. Ink and paper and a spine that creaked. After she died, I built digital ledgers instead. Quiet cliffs no one saw. The pager sat on my waist, out of habit. Old plastic against a rib, the belt biting when I breathed. The ice machine shuddered and dumped a tray with a soft thunder. Steel finds its tone in pressure. So do fathers. I excused myself to the restroom. Palms dry, though the air felt like a wet hand on the neck. In the stall, I heard my daughter-in-law's whisper and the clack of her ring against the phone. "Yes, tonight," she said. 51st, then the rest by Monday if the notary meets us. He thinks it's paperwork. If he balks, we say memory. A pause. Gray Harbor can take him by October. The toilet roared. My ears burned. At the sinks, the young waiter rinsed glasses, sleeves wet, eyes quick. "You all right, sir?" he asked. I watched cold water slide over his fingers. "Family dinner," I said. "That bad?" He smiled, then softened. "He told the bar you're celebrating a move and a merger. Big money." He shrugged. "People talk when they think the music covers them." The music did not cover anything. It only made the knives shine. Back at the table, a glossy brochure had joined the bread plate, cheerful blues and smiling faces above the words supportive living. Daniel turned the page with his fork. "They'd got a library, Dad." He tapped another screen. I saw a banking app skeleton and a draft transfer named Family Trust. The champagne arrived, beads racing. He filled his wife's glass first. It looked like celebration, like care. It was arithmetic, but that was only half the truth. Numbers behave when you respect them. Months ago, I had signed a service agreement at the branch, adding a freeze-on code provision, an old client courtesy no one advertises. Dual contact, they called it, though I was both contacts by design. A passphrase lived behind the pager. If I sent the 6 digits, their system locked withdrawals and flagged any ACH pulls for manual review. No speeches, no drama. Only friction where speed expected silk. The busser, a girl with a precise ponytail, hovered with fresh water. Your son asked for the check to split across cards, she said, faintly apologetic. Said your Beck sometimes declines over $400. She glanced at the folder by my elbow. You want me to bring a pen? I nodded. Later. Her eyes flicked toward the bar where Daniel laughed too loud. He told the bartender you're finally letting go, she murmured. Finally is a gentle word for theft. Daniel stood. He liked tights, even 6 inches of them. To Dad, he said, voice riding the brass of the room, who taught me to be practical, and who's letting us streamline things so he can relax. Diners turned. Some smiled. He raised his wife's hand like a prize. Family pulls together. Laughter rolled across the floor. One man clapped. The ice machine answered with a dull clunk. My face felt hot. My spine felt steel. Heat swelled at the windows. Rain threatening but not brave enough to break. The room sang with forks and soft conversation. I tasted salt and old copper, the way a bitten lip lingers. My son sat, finally, and leaned close enough that I could count the tiny nicks at his jawline. We'll get this done by Monday, he said. Attorney at noon, notary at 2:30. He smiled. You won't have to think about bills. Thinking is what keeps men alive. He slid a signature page free, a bright whiteness that made the tablecloth look gray. Just here, he said, tapping the bottom. The print above it used words like durable and authority and immediate. A thin blue sticky flag pointed at my name. I could smell the ink, new and eager. My hand hovered, then fell to my lap. It seemed like surrender. Daniel's chest loosened with relief. It seemed like peace, but that was only half the truth. He checked his phone again, careless with his angles, and a routing number flashed like a license plate caught in headlights. I memorized 4 digits without trying. Years of audit taught me that eyes are better pockets than wallets. He picked up his fork and stabbed a potato, the tines squealing. Eat, Dad, he said. His wife watched my hands the way a hawk watches his grass, waiting for the small thing to move. Restroom, I said, and he waved permission like a king dismissing a petition. The hallway to the back was cooler. The hum of the refrigeration lined with a higher, steelier note. I paused by the kitchen door, steam touching my face, then moved on. Quiet exit. That was the plan Dr. Marianne and I used to whisper when family politics crackled. Weave the scene. Change the angle. Return in a different light. I smiled at the memory. In the stall, I unclipped the pager and pressed its ancient ribs, dialed the private number I had not dialed in 3 years, and keyed 6 digits that live in the same drawer as birthdays. The line accepted the tone with a small, polite chirp. The return ring was dry and fast. 2 tones used to mean act now. They still do. I felt the humid air go thin around me. Fraud desk, Marisol speaking, the voice said, firm as a ledger line. Mr. Hargreaves, yes? I gave the secondary identifier, the nickname only one banker knows. Code 6 received, she said. We're placing a full freeze on account ending 1442. All outgoing halted. ACH pulls diverted to manual. Water thundered in the next stall. A pending item labeled consolidation, she continued, flagged for review. Do you authorize hold and call back to initiator? Yes, I said, with notes. Back at the table, Daniel's fingers drummed a small, happy rhythm, and the ice machine clicked in time, like a metronome that had chosen sides. We'll sign, then do dessert, he said. Tiramisu is good here. I lifted my water and watched the sweat creep down the glass. I'll need a pen, I said. His wife handed me one, gold and ridiculous. The nib scratched the signature line, writing nothing at all. My phone buzzed against my hip, a message from the bank portal with a PDF labeled temporary freeze order. 8:21 p.m. Case 27-915-FA. Another note followed. Unauthorized ACH pull blocked. Initiator First Meridian Brokerage pending verification. I slid the phone face down, the way he had, and let the knowledge sit like a second spine. The room's noise softened, as if someone had closed the door only I could see. Calm is a kind of weapon. The waiter returned with a check in a little leather book, the old theater prop, total $412.68. Daniel took it, tearful, and gestured for 2 cards. We're helping Dad with his budgeting, he told the waiter. He gets overwhelmed. The waiter looked at me and then at the folder. He did not nod. He simply breathed. I folded my napkin with neat corners and set it aside. It looked like compliance, but that was only half the truth. A couple at the next table whispered, curious, the way people lean toward a fire that has not decided whether to junk. He looks fine to me, the woman said. The man shrugged. Families, he said. I could smell charred lemon peel from the bar. Daniel wrote his name with a flourish on the tip line, as if rehearsing for a bigger signature. His wife tilted the brochure, so the smiling faces watched me watch them. We'll swing by your place after, Daniel murmured. Pack a weekend bag. Monday is paperwork. His wife's bracelets made a small rain of sound. You'll thank us, she added, all teeth. I watched condensation gather and let one drop fall onto the signature page, a dark coin that vanished quickly. Midnight is a good hour for decisions, I said. Her smile sharpened. Midnight it is. Steel sometimes pretends to be velvet. It fools only the soft. I stood again, slow enough to be dismissed as age, steady enough to be read as refusal. Restroom, I said, and the word traveled without weight. Daniel waved me off, already bed to his math. In the hall the air cooled, the refrigeration hum nestling in my ear like a kept promise. I palmed the pager and the phone together and let the shape settle. Quiet exits are not retreats. They are angles. The manager came over with a careful smile. Tie, too tight for the heat. Everything good this evening? He asked, eyes tracking the folder and the paused pen. Daniel answered for me. Great, just handling some family paperwork. Dad wants us to take the stress. The manager nodded, like a man walking past a sleeping dog. The ice machine coughed and settled. He set a business card down anyway. If you need a quieter corner, he said. Corners listen differently. My phone hummed again. A short text from Marisol. Callback to initiator placed. Voicemail left. Citing Reg E provisional credit and NACHA unauthorized debit code R10. Internal watch added. Another message followed with a thumbnail wave file. Recorded notice as policy allows. I slid the phone back. Daniel watched my hands. You're oddly calm, he said. Age does that to a man. Calm is not age. Calm is a room you build when storms repeat. But that was only half the truth. He pushed the signature page closer, the paper whispering against the cloth, like a blade inside a coat. Sign and we can schedule everything. Monday, noon, Hayes and Cullen. He let the names rest between us like heady coins. They specialize in capacity. His wife tucked hair behind one ear. We want you protected, she said, voice sweet enough to crack a tooth. Protection is a word that often brings chains with it. I traced the margin with the pen, then set it down. I'll read every line at home, I said. Daniel's smile tightened. You forget details lately. His wife leaned in. You were confused last week about the oven clock. The kitchen door swung and heat rolled over us. Rosemary lifted like incense. The ice machine clattered, defiant. I was testing a theory, I said. They waited for the shape of the lie. No shape came. He slid his phone open, a pale light over eager skin, and opened a notes app titled Talking Points. He had bullet lists under headings bills, fall risk, equity. This is not a fight, Dad, he said softly. This is logistics. His hand trembled, then stilled. He had always hated the word no when spoken without witnesses. Tonight, he wanted witnesses. He wanted the room. A man who wants the room has already lost the door. The busser with the precise ponytail returned with the card machine and a freshwater carafe beaded with sweat. Do you want me to split the check as requested? She asked. Daniel nodded, eager. She hesitated. There was a call for you at the bar, sir, she added, looking at me. A bank officer. He said to check your secure messages. Daniel's eyes flashed. He's fine, he said. We're with him. Possessives weigh more than pronouns. I opened the secure message. The freeze order wore official fonts and a precise timestamp, 2021-47, with a note about manual verification of any disbursement requesting First Meridian brokerage. It included a callback number and a short line, customer-initiated dual contact feature active. Branch manager alerted per agreement. I read it twice. The room's brass seemed to dull around the edges. Daniel's wife sipped champagne like a clock drinking minutes. Daniel lowered his voice. What did you do? The question was a wire searching for ground. I asked a question about timing, I said. Banks hate timing. He laughed without humor. They're not your friends. I watched the beads rise in his glass and thought of our first algebra problem at the kitchen table in 1996, how he had wanted the answer without the work. He had kept that taste. Sugar without bread leaves a man hungry, but that was only half the truth. His phone rang with a number he did not recognize. He let it die. Another call followed, the same number. He flipped the phone face down and smiled with his back teeth. Spam, he said. The busser's head tilted, listening to something only staff hear, the hidden bell at the service station. The ice machine answered with a low growl. The room held its breath, the way a ledger holds a rounding error. The manager returned, hands folded, voice neutral. Apologies to interrupt. Sir, your bank left a message on the landline as well. They asked me to inform you discreetly. He set a slip of paper beside my water. Daniel reached, then pretended he had not. We have it handled, he told the manager. The manager stared at his tie knot as if it contained policy. Let me know if you prefer the side room, he said, and retreated. Side rooms are for decisions. Daniel's smile peeled. You're making this messy, he hissed. The hissing kind of whisper that scratches a man's throat. We had a plan. Plans have edges. You only feel them when your hands bleed. You told the bar we're merging households, I said. You also told someone I scare easily after dark. His jaw clicked. You misheard. But in the restroom stall, her words had been clean, and the tile had carried them like tile always does. His wife laid a gentle hand on my wrist. Her bracelets made a private rain. If you sign, we can end this and take you home with us tonight, she said. No fuss. She let the hand linger just past kindness. The folder's tab read, Durable Financial Power of Attorney, Immediate. The yellow sticky on page 7 read Beneficiary Update. I lifted the pen and let it hover. The ice machine clicked, faithful as a metronome of storms. At the bar, glasses chimed, a sound like thin money. A couple argued quietly about a vacation refund. I could smell orange peel scorched black. Daniel checked the time, 8:27, and tapped his shoe against the floor in twos. We need to be at Hayes and Cullen by noon Monday, he said. They said earlier is better before filings stack up. He looked at me as if I were already paper. Paper bends. Steel does not. My phone buzzed with a new secure message. Branch manager S. Patel will be on standby for identity verification at opening 9:00 a.m. Monday. Video record of initiator callback retained. Attached was a short line none of them could see. Customer consent file includes passphrase option for escalation to account freeze category, red, on further attempt. Red is a plain word for deep water. Daniel licked his lip like a man tasting weather. The waiter returned with 2 miniature desserts on the house. For the celebration, he said, setting down tiramisu squares dusted with a dark snow. Daniel laughed a little too late. Look at that, Dad. Sweet endings. I tasted coffee and cocoa, bitter, tucked under silk. Good, I said. It will help me stay awake. His wide eyes narrowed. Awake for what? She asked. Awake for the part where the lights turn and the room shows its wires. But that was only half the truth. Daniel stood again, tapping his glass lightly until the nearest tables quieted. One more toast, he said, to being practical even when emotions get loud. He looked at me across a small ocean of white cloth. To trusting the next generation. A man in a blazer murmured assent the way men do when they smell a sermon. I set my napkin aside, its corners neat, the way balances rest when reconciled. He sat, leaned in, and said the line he had practiced. If you don't sign, Dad, we file a petition. Capacity, safety, immediate need. The judge listens when the numbers are this big. You fall, you forget, you lose track. He tapped the folder. This is mercy. I let the word ring. Mercy is a door that should open from the inside. When it opens from the outside, you are already in a cage. I let my hand shake, just a little, and his breath eased. Where's the notary? I asked. His wife brightened. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., City Center kiosk, quick stamp, quick coffee. The waiter passed with a tray that smelled like heat and butter. We'll pick you up at 9:30, Daniel said. Pack a small bag, 2 days. We'll help sort what you need. Help is a verb that can mean pillage when the clocks are turned forward. The busser slid by and set a clean spoon beside my plate as if delivering a telegram. Her voice, almost absent, found me. My grandma says read the blue lines, she whispered, and I saw the fine print at the bottom of the signature page, the statutory form citation, dates that skipped a year, like a miscount in breath. Revision date of March 12, 2019, sat beside a 2025 footer. Skits like that cost people houses. I angled the paper to the window's dim smear and found a tiny error in Daniel's typed name in the preparer block, a stray accent mark I have only ever seen when someone copies from a template. You hired a careful person, I said. His jaw worked. We used a service. Services publish forms. Lawyers publish outcomes. The ice machine rattled as if applauding a small discovery. Small is how mountains begin to move. But that was only half the truth. He pushed back his chair, and the legs screamed. Enough. He gathered the folder, the brochures, the desserts with one irritated sweep. The manager appeared as if summoned by friction. Sir, Daniel breathed through his nose and crafted a smile. We're done here. The manager's eyes touched the room, the neighboring tables, my face. Would you like me to call a car, Mr. Hargreaves? He asked me, using my name like a small shield. Names can still hold ground. Daniel reached for my elbow. His grip was warm and persuasive. We'll walk you out, he said. His wife stood, bracelets raining. The hallway to the door was cooler, the steel hum sharpening like a blade being honed. A gust from the street brought in fried air and a smear of city rain smell that could not commit. I let him lead and also did not. Quiet exits require choreography. I have always been good with counts. At the threshold, he paused, calculating the optics, the diners, the staff, the story he would tell later about a grateful father. The manager's business card winked from my pocket. The busser lingered at the host stand as if she had mislaid a thought. I let my pager show, a small black tooth on my belt. Daniel frowned at it, as if it were a relic. Relics can wait saints. They can also wake ledgers. His phone rang again. This time he answered, yes? Silence pooled in the doorway. He turned away, then back. We're in the middle of dinner. A polite voice must have explained a freeze, and a callback, and a recorded notice. His shoulders rose. That's ridiculous, he said. He consented earlier. He looked at me, seeking a clue, a crack, a plea. I offered him the city's humid night and a level gaze. He ended the call and forced the laugh. Administrative snafu, he told his wife, the word snafu souring on his tongue. We'll handle it Monday. He took my elbow again. Tonight we go home. Bag, pajamas, the basics. The ice machine in the bar clacked once, a distant gavel. I let my shoulder loosen under his hand, a small surrender that reads well in crowds. Surrenders are tools when placed gently in the right palm. Outside the door, the humid night pressed close, but the steel hum from the refrigeration stitched my nerves together. I stepped aside, dialed the callback number, and asked for Patel. Side room, I said. Speaker, if you can. The manager opened the small, glassed-in banquet nook, like a curtain being drawn on a different stage. Daniel hesitated at the threshold, eyes flicking to the dining room, to witnesses, to narrative. Quiet exits sometimes circle back and become quiet entries. We sat. The manager placed the landline on the table and dimmed the side sconces. Steam loosened from a tray somewhere beyond, Rosemary riding it like a flag. This is Patel, the phone said, voice crisp. Mr. Hargreaves, we have your instruction on file. We will now verify the initiator of the attempted ACH debit. Daniel forced a smile. A misunderstanding. The manager folded his hands. Diner's laughter thinned against the glass, and then returned, tidal and indifferent. Another voice joined. Marisol steady as a ledger. Call recording in progress. Initiator identified as First Meridian Brokerage. Sub-account user Daniel Hargreaves. Mr. Hargreaves, Jr. State the callback code left on your voicemail. Daniel's throat bobbed. I didn't get it. Second option, she continued. Last four of the authorizing client's passphrase. His eyes slid to me and found only the old pager and my belt. Steel does not blink. We'll wait, Marisol said. Waiting can be surgical. He tried a number anyway. The phone stayed cool. Negative, Marisol said. Per service agreement, customer-initiated dual contact is active. Reg E provisional protections apply. ACH code R10, posted. This attempted debit is unauthorized. Freeze category amber is escalated to red upon second attempt. The manager wrote R10 on his pad, as if noting a vintage. Daniel's wife reached for his arm. The side room seemed to tilt toward the phone, the way SBL leans toward truth. A soft clatter from the ice machine in the bar sounded like distant hail. The busser hovered at the doorway, carrying a carafe like a peace offering. I nodded her in. Daniel shot her the look menus on interruptions. Sir, Patel said, we will also file a branch note regarding proposed capacity filings where funds are simultaneously in motion. That pattern concerns us. The manager's eyes narrowed. Concern is a quiet word that often precedes action. But that was only half the truth. My phone vibrated. A secure message slid open like a small door. Case 27915 FA updated. Freeze confirmed. Initiator contact attempted. Callback recording attached. Branch standby engaged. Identity verification scheduled Monday 9 o'clock. A second line blinked. Customer acknowledgement requested. Signature by e-sign or in-branch. The manager angled a clipboard from nowhere. We can print, he said. He vanished, efficient, and the side room breathed. Steam curled along the ceiling like a thought remembering itself. Daniel started the pivot he had saved for emergencies. Dad, the capacity petition is separate. Funds were moving for consolidation. We're protecting you. Consolidation into your sub-account, I said. He flinched. Temporary parking, he said, reaching for professional words that did not fit his hands. The busser set water down. Her voice, barely a thread, found the seam. My grandma says thieves always use new bags for old bread. Daniel smiled at her like a man testing a lock. His wife recovered faster. We can undo all of this if you sign. Tomorrow, notary at 10. The kiosk is quick. You like quick, don't you? The landline breathed. Marisol returned. For the recording, she said. Initiator failed verification. Freeze category red is in effect. Outgoing transactions barred. Any further attempts will require in-person identity checks. Mr. Hargreaves Sr., do you wish to add a note regarding family dispute flags? Yes, I said. Add the names as stated. Daniel tried for volume. This is a family matter, not a banking spectacle. The manager set down a printed page in official gray. Temporary freeze order. The header read, 202147. He placed a pen beside it and slid the clipboard toward me. Through the glass, diners fort tiramisu, and nodded at jokes they would not remember. The ice machine in the bar gave one clean click, a metronome that had chosen its side long ago. The busser shifted her weight. Sir, she whispered to the manager. He told the bar he's moving his dad tonight. He said midnight is best. Daniel turned on her, smile bright and wrong. We're helping, he said. We love him. Help is a word that stains when it dries. The manager's jaw set. We keep notes when guests are pressured, he said evenly. Notes are seeds. Seeds become records, and records find light. I signed the bank acknowledgement with my full name in block letters, the way auditors sign when they expect strangers to read them later. The pen felt heavy, then honest. The manager witnessed, neat signature looping under mine with the date. The printer coughed a second copy. He handed one to me and one to the busser to scan for their incident file. Daniel watched the paper, changed temperature as it cooled and became permanent. Daniel's wife reached for the folder again. The manager's hand arrived first, light as policy. "Please don't handle another guest's documents," he said. "We can provide an envelope." She laughed a small, sharp laugh. "He's family." The manager blinked slowly. "Tonight, he is also our guest. Hospitality is a law older than signatures." Behind the glass, someone at the bar began a birthday song, thin and brave against a room that had other business. Marisol's voice returned. "Mr. Hardreeve Sr., final note. Any petition regarding capacity filed while a freeze is active will be viewed in context of attempted unauthorized movement. We will provide our logs upon subpoena. For now, expect no outgoing funds through the weekend." She paused. "Do you require anything else tonight?" "No," I said. "You've done precisely enough. Precision is a mercy when heat wants to be chaos." But that was only half the truth. I turned to Daniel, so the glass could hold the reflection of his face for anyone who cared to look. "Gray Harbor by October," I said. The words landed like dull coins. His wife's lips opened, then closed. "You misheard in the restroom," she tried. "Tile does not lie. Midnight is good for decisions," I added. The busser's eyes flicked to the clock above the bar. 8:41. The night had room for more truth than they wanted. I uncapped the gold pen they had given me earlier and wrote one word in tall letters across the signature page they had pushed for an hour. Void. I underlined it once, slowly, the way a man draws a road he intends never to walk. The ink bled through just enough to leave a ghost on the tablecloth. The manager's eyebrows lifted, then settled. The busser smiled at the lower corner of her tray. "Witness, please," I said. The manager signed his name under the word I had written. The busser printed hers beside the date, hands steady. I took a photograph of the page with the timestamp glowing neat as a receipt. Daniel's mouth made a shape and lost it. Through the glass, the bartender shaped peel over a flame, and the bitter scent slid under the door and into the room like a bright, precise blade. Daniel tried to laugh and could not find a floor for it. "This is theater," he said. "On Monday, we file." "On Monday," I said, "you can file what you like. The account will not move. The logs will breathe." I slid the manager a card with Patel's number written in my accountant's hand. "If anyone pressures your staff tonight, call and reference case 27915 FA. He tucked it away, like a matchbook you save for storms. From the landline, Patel returned one last time. "Mr. Hargreaves, confirmation complete. Bank freeze order stands. We have added a note to decline any notary-assisted changes to beneficiary or authority until in-person review with branch management present. Thank you for your clarity." He hung up. The side room exhaled. In the dining room, someone laughed too loudly at nothing. The ice machine delivered a final clack like punctuation at the end of a stubborn sentence. I slid the folder back across the table toward Daniel, closed neatly, the yellow sticky still marking page 7 like a warning buoy. "You'll want to keep this away from dessert," I said. He stared at the word I had written in tall letters and at the signatures below it that did not belong to him. His wife reached and stopped. The busser lifted her tray. The manager opened the door and the humid night leaned in. I palmed the pager, pressed its rib once for the satisfaction of a tone only I heard, set a $100 bill under the clipboard for the staff, and walked out into the heat, leaving the freeze order on the table between my son and his empty pen